So the first one is Sauvignon Blanc, the 2019 Sauvignon Blanc. So Sauvignon Blanc is quite a significant wine in the international wine scene. I want to see where Lila wants me to put the bottle so you can see it. It is quite a significant one internationally. I think in the UK, Sauvignon Blanc is the biggest bottle seller. In South Africa, it's one of the biggest. It's the biggest bottle seller. So it's I think the third or fourth biggest variety planted in South Africa. So it's there's big volumes of Sauvignon Blanc in South Africa and the rest of the world. I think when it comes to wine growing regions, obviously the Loire region in France, they are quite they're well known for the Sauvignons, and so are the Kiwis. But I think South Africa is right up there with producing quality Sauvignon for quite a few years. Sauvignon Blanc, I thought, was relatively new in South Africa, but we've done some we've done some research. We found some Groot Constantia Sauvignons dating back to the 1920s, and it seems they were even, I lied, 1970, so good 50 plus years that we've been making Sauvignon Blanc in Constantia. It may even be longer, but the oldest we could find in bottle here was going back to 50 years. And one of our neighbors down the road, Alphen, which don't produce wine anymore, they go back to the early 1900s. So producing Sauvignon Blanc in the Constantia Valley for more than a century. So it's not that new to the industry. I think it's just more recent that it got more famous, more recent, about the last 30 or 40 years, that there was a bigger spotlight on Sauvignon Blanc internationally. Certain varieties are more versatile, and you can plant it in sort of warmer, dry regions or cooler, wetter regions. It's very versatile if you and where you can grow it. But Sauvignon Blanc is not. Sauvignon Blanc is actually quite specific. Sauvignon Blanc is not like water stress. Sauvignon Blanc needs a lot of water. We spoke about the droughts. There were talks about Cape Town running out of water about 3 years ago. So everybody's very water conscious, but where we are, specifically Constantia, even while the Western Cape was running out of water, we still had enough water in our dams, the borers, even at surface water, literally sort of, that little spring, very slow, but a little spring on the farm here. So, I mean, it's quite a wet part of the, we are on the southern slopes. If you look at the map of South Africa, Cape Town, obviously sort of, bottom left, the little finger that sticks into the Atlantic Ocean, that is Cape Town and the Cape Peninsula. Table Mountain runs from the city center straight down south, towards Cape Point, and that is where we are. We are literally on the southern slopes of Table Mountain. So it's quite a wet area here. We get about 1,000 millimeters of rain a year, 1,100 long-term average. To put it in perspective, that is more rain than London. So so if you say that Cape Town is Constantia, a wet growing region, that is what you can expect if you come here. And then the second thing is, like I said, if you look at the map and you see that little crooked finger sticking into the Atlantic, that is where we are. So we are about 7-8 kilometers from the Atlantic Ocean straight south, and if you go west, it's about 5 kilometers from the Atlantic. So we're literally wedged into the Atlantic Ocean, and obviously that cold Atlantic Ocean has a very moderating effect, sort of cooling effect on the vineyard. So that's why the temperatures are relatively low here. Summer temperatures, 25, 28 degrees is what we call a warm summer's day. So so very moderate wine growing region there, the Constantia Valley, which is exactly what you need for a variety like Sauvignon Blanc. Like I said, Sauvignon Blanc is not like heat stress, it's not like water stress. So that is why the Sauvignon Blanc does really well in the Constantia Valley. The valley as a whole is quite small. Constantia Valley from south to north is probably 6 or 7 kilometers. It's a very narrow sort of the wine growing region along the Table Mountain range. Only about 400 hectares for the whole valley. That is like less than 0.5% of the South African wine industry. So the 10 properties here, 10 small properties, but half of those vineyards planted to Sauvignon Blanc. So that is Sauvignon is something that we believe that we do well here in the Constantia Valley. So in your glasses of 2019, Gerard picked one of the heavyweights. The 2019 Sauvignon Blanc was an overachiever. We're very lucky to get the award for the International Trophy for Best Sauvignon Blanc on show at the International Wine Challenge just more than a year ago. So I think it's we're very proud to say that in a South African context, we believe in the terroir, but it's great to also get an international accolade, international trophy, to show that even on an international scale, there is, world-class Sauvignons that we can produce here in the Constantia Valley. So in the glass are 2019 Sauvignon. We try to sort of marry the flavors. Sauvignon Blanc, it really depends where you are. Often associated with very green flavor. Green's quite a tricky flavor. I know there's wine people, I believe, sort of from the bigger culinary institute as well, or world as well tonight. And green's quite a tricky flavor to pair, when it comes to food and wine. So green for me, it's a very typical Sauvignon character. I think that's one character you'll find all over the world. Doesn't matter where you grow your Sauvignons. There's often that underlying green herbal element, which you do find here. But we are also looking for something that's a bit riper. And I think the cold wine growing conditions that we experience here in Constantia allow the grapes, to ripen very slowly, and you get a bit more complexity. So you often get, I think, being in bottle for a couple of years now, it's a bit more complexity that comes out now. Bit more riper fruit, bit of stone fruit even that you smell. Always a hint of citrus on the nose. So yeah, so I think it's amazing complexity. Not only the sort of green grassy side, but also more riper tropical, like I said, stone fruit, citrus, all those different layers of fruit that you find. So I think it really makes the wine very interesting when it comes to food and wine pairing. And the other beauty that I do enjoy about the Constantia Sauvignons is the palate. Sauvignons can be very aromatic, but but can be a bit lean on the palate. And I do think this extra layer, just more palate weight. So if you taste the wine, just a bit of extra palate weight. Again, when it comes to food and wine, I mean, that is ultimately why we make wine. It's one thing to sip a glass of wine by the poolside, but for me, wine really shows at its best. When you have a bite to eat with it, to really show the complexity and the versatility of the wine. So yeah, I think that that extra depth of flavor that we find here in the Constantia Sauvignons really help to make the wine more versatile when it comes to food and wine pairing.